guys, and welcome back to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley, and welcome to the first episode of Watercolor Blooms of 2026. It's been several weeks since I have done an episode of Watercolor Blooms, and I figured we should get this year started off with an episode of Watercolor Blooms. So if you're new to this series, this is where I paint usually every single week. We do watercolor florals that are quick, simple, beginner-friendly. This one's a little bit more involved than what we normally do. There's a little bit more steps, but we explore new techniques. We don't worry about failure here. We are just trying to learn and play and grow together. So that's what we're doing. Let's go ahead and turn the camera around and start painting. Okay, so we are back with Watercolor Blooms. It's been several weeks, and this is going to be the first one for 2026. If you have not been following this series yet, we are currently in a Fun 2 sketchbook. Last time we used a Etcher sketchbook, and I wanted to try out a cheaper alternative for our Watercolor Bloom series. So we've been in the Fun 2 one, and oh wow, we've done one. I have another one of these that I've been painting in my car. So this is really funny. I only have one, and the idea I had in my brain is actually quite similar to this for today's. Anyway, the Fun 2 sketchbook, it's relatively inexpensive. It's like a 2-pack on Amazon, but you have a textured side and a smoother side of paper. So like every other one's going to be smooth or rough. You could love that or hate that. We are going to be on the smooth side today. I guess I should use this side. And I'm going to tape off the edges. I have something very specific in mind. If you are new to this series, I don't always have a plan. I kind of just start painting. And this series is meant to be quick, simple, beginner-friendly flowers, but also something where we're learning something new every time. So we're not going for perfection here. We're learning. We are experimenting. And so in this series, I'm hoping it will free you up to make mistakes, learn some different techniques, and have some fun. So this first one, I thought we would start the year off using masking fluid. So I want to have a dark background and a light flower. So I'm going to be using, this one is called drawing gum, but it's masking liquid, masking fluid. I haven't used it in a while, so I need to shake this up. But I'm going to give you a few tricks to make using this a little bit easier. First of all, it stinks. It just does not smell good. But don't use one of your natural hair or expensive brushes. The masking fluid will often stick to it and ruin a brush. But one way I prevent that is I start by wetting it and rolling it in some brush soap, so the masking fluid doesn't stick to the brush quite as much. So let me see. I just use the Masters brush cleaner and preserver, and let's pick out a brush. Okay, so I'm just going to use this Meeden brush, and I'm going to start by getting it wet so that it will actually activate some of this glue, and I'm just going to roll it around in the glue. Okay, nice coat, get it to a nice point. And it is ready to go into the masking fluid. So when using masking fluid, I try to go fairly quickly, put it on thick enough that you can peel it off, because this dries and then peels. Oh my gosh, there is a chunk of dried fluid at the top. Oh no, it's just like whipped looking. Let me give this another shake. When I bought this, I didn't realize how giant of a bottle this was. I don't recommend getting one this big because it can dry up. All right, so I'm going to take some of the masking fluid on the brush, and I'm going to do just some simple flower shapes. I want to do a daisy-like flower. This top part of the masking fluid is really gummy and thick. I really need to get down to the liquid bit, but all right. So I'm basically painting a flower in this stuff. So it's quite frothy because I shook it up quite a bit. But anyways, I'm going to speed through this part and we'll get to the next part. But I'm just going to do my painting of the petals in this, and then we have to let it dry completely. Make sure it is fully dry before we go on to the next step. Okay, so it's very important that as soon as you're done with your masking fluid, close it and go rinse out your brush in warm water in the sink immediately. So I'm going to go do that so this brush is not ruined. I'm going to let this dry and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so next step is just to put color on the page. Once this is dry, I am going to use a really big mop brush because this is one of the best ways of putting down a lot of paint and water. This one from Fumui is so incredibly soft and it holds so much water. This is a size 10 and really just any bigger brush will do. I just really enjoy using mop brushes because it makes it so easy, especially when you're using granulating paints, because it puts a lot of water in it and moves those pigments around. So I'm going to start with this blue and I'm just going to start putting this all over the page. And since we have masked off those flowers, we can now do a background without having to go around flowers. I'm just going to go right on top of it. And then I'm going to take my cobalt blue. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Why is it so pretty? And we're just going to fill this up with these two blue colors. Gosh, I love that. That is so beautiful. And you could even do a couple of layers of this. You could let this dry and do it again, depending on how deep you want your background to be. Trying to decide if I want to do that today or not. But, oh, that's so pretty. Okay, I could leave it. Should I leave it? No. I'm going to use a little bit of dirt blue. And I'm just going to add it in a little bit. I don't want to go too overboard. Kind of put it at the bottom, maybe a little bit in between the flowers as well. All right, and then we're just gonna let this set, let this dry, let it separate and do its thing. There we go. Putting in enough pigment so it separates well. Okay, so now once again, I'm going to let it dry. So I know it takes a little bit longer than what I normally do for my paintings, but it's going to be worth it. So I'm going to actually make sure this is level-ish. Put this here so it doesn't pool too much one side to the other. And this is going to take a bit to dry, so I will come back in a little while and we will take off the masking fluid and actually paint the flowers after that. But oh my gosh, it's going to be so beautiful. Okay, I'm debating whether I want to do a second layer. It looks beautiful. I just think I want it a little bit deeper even. So I'm going to repeat the same process, put some more paint on it, let it dry, and then we'll paint the flowers. Okay, so this is mostly dry. There's a little puddle in this corner, but this part is dry, so I can go ahead and remove the masking fluid. One thing I did want to say though, I lightly used my heat tool to finish drying here, but I caution you using a heat tool or hair dryer or anything with masking fluid because you could melt it and that would not be good. So I just very, very lightly finished drying a little bit of this area. So to remove the masking fluid, kind of start wherever you want to, but I'm going to start down here and I'm just lightly rubbing and it's kind of rolling the masking fluid up. And you can either keep doing that or you can get it and then pull it. Depends on how thickly you applied it, whether it'll give you a nice clean pull. But you can just lightly rub your finger on it in one direction and it should come off fairly easily. Different papers can react to masking fluid differently. Sometimes if it's not a very good paper, it could potentially tear the paper. But most papers should do an okay job with the masking fluid. Because this is a pretty inexpensive sketchbook and it's having no problem so far. We shall see. But oh, I just love the reveal of taking the masking fluid off. It's so satisfying to me. So these flowers are going to be white, but we still have to paint like the shadows and stuff in the middle, and obviously the leaves and stems. But we will paint a little bit for the petals as well because they're not just flat white. So let's get all this off and then we will paint the flowers. Okay, I'm going to actually zoom in just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing next. I love the way the background turned out. All right, so let's go to the green colors I have here. And I'm just going to grab a random one that looks pretty. And I'm going to paint the stems and leaves. So trying to be very careful not to go too much on the background. It's okay if you do a little bit. And you can even leave a little bit of white space if you want. It'll look like a little highlight on top of your leaf. But however you want to do that. So there's all the green. I want to do the yellow next, so I'm just going to take, I want to use this yellow, start with this one and see. Okay, and then I want to take this deeper yellow just to add a little bit of depth. So I'm going to go around the outside, kind of bottom edge of the center. Just add some shadow. Okay. All right, and then, oh, they're so pretty. Then we're just going to add a little bit of shadowing on the petals. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of this light gray blue kind of color. And I've got just a little bit on my brush here, and I'm going to put in some little bitty lines, curving with the petal. And I'm using a very small liner brush. This is Christy Rice's number 2 round. I'm very daintily on these petals. Again, making sure you're curving with the shape of the petal. Letting it kind of run out of water and dry brushing can help as well. Cute, cute, cute. Oh, look at those little flowers. That's precious. All right, I'm rinsing my brush off and then wiping it on the edge of the cup to where I have a very watered down version of that same paint. And I'm gonna take it and just lightly glaze kind of towards the center of those petals to give it even more depth. Very, very, very light wash of this paint. So I'm getting paint, dipping my brush in the cup and wiping off excess. Just doing a very, very light glaze. Okay, there we go. Now the best part of this, we're gonna wrap this up now because it's probably been a long video. We're gonna take the tape off. Here, oh no! Oh no, it's ripping. I've never had this tape rip paper before. Oh no. This is the Holbein soft tape and it's very gentle, so oh no. The smooth side of this paper is a little bit fragile. Well, the paper is a little bit ripped. Hopefully it doesn't go into the painting any. Let's see. Wow. Yeah, I did not see that coming. I've never had this tape do this. Okay. So there's that. It's not bad. I mean, you can see it if you're looking for it, but the painting itself looks beautiful. Oh, that's so pretty. I might want to do a large painting like this. I love the blue colors. I'm probably would add more detail on the leaves and stems, like add a shadow side on them. But I think I'm going to leave it for today. The flowers themselves are beautiful. So, all right, that is the first episode of Watercolor Blooms for this year. Let me know what flowers you want me to paint this year for this series, but that's it for today. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see our future videos, hit that subscribe button down below, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Excuse me. Let's just go ahead and dive in. I hate it when people say that. Don't say that. Let's go ahead and get started. Nope.